Hello Autobots and Decepticons, my name is Soulmongry and I'd like to welcome you guys back to the Transformers War for Cybertron Autobot Campaign Part 2! In this episode I'm going to be talking about Generation 1 Ratchet. Although I am playing as Optimus Prime, because I am continuing my ventures from last episode, I will try to look at Ratchet in this episode as much as possible, and Ratchet is going to be next on the list simply because this is the last episode we will see him in for the Autobot campaign. And for as many Transformers games that Ratchet is in, I do not know a ton about Ratchet, and I was doing some research on him and I've realized that there really isn't that much information on Ratchet, which was a surprise for me since a lot of the Autobots rely on him for repairs. And right off the bat, I found it funny that he had two nicknames, and I don't know why, but I thought these two nicknames were just hilarious. The first one, Grease Finger, and the second one, Cool Hand Lube. And I couldn't help but chuckle at both of those, as they both reminded me of different movies, Goldfinger and Cool Hand Luke. So that was pretty funny. I thought that he had those two nicknames given to him. Alright, Ratchet. G1 Ratchet. He is the Autobot Chief Medical Officer. If something's broke, you can definitely rely on him to attempt to fix it, and most likely he will succeed. He is known for his lack of respect for people or things that are generally taken seriously. He will more or less make a joke about them, and it's pretty funny because when I was growing up younger, I had a doctor that was a neighbor, and anytime that I would get a cut or something, he would always just make a joke about it and play it off like it wasn't a big deal. And I kind of get the same feeling with Ratchet, although Ratchet does seem more cocky, as in he thinks he's smarter than other people, but he is a medic, so I guess he did put in the time at Autobot College Academy and earned that doctor degree, so he is probably a lot smarter than some of the Autobots. But even with this humor, he does also enjoy having a good time, and why not? I believe being a medical officer would cause a lot of work, so it's a good time to unwind and really get the rust out of your gears. He's not the best of warriors, which I find it kind of funny because in Transformers Dark of the Moon, the video game, he is by far, in my opinion, the best Autobot commander that you can select. His machine gun is crazy, and he is also very good in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And in both the games, I could almost argue that he is better than Optimus Prime, so I'm not really too sure on what direction the developers thought they were going with Ratchet there, but they made him extremely good, kind of went against his medical background in the Generation 1 history. And since he is the medical officer, you will often see him on the front lines of combat, helping Autobots out and also fighting, and he is usually the Autobots' last hope at times, and he will do some awesome repairs to help the Autobots get on their feet and defeat the Decepticons. With that being said, he is a very smart guy, he's dependable, and he never gives up. And if you guys don't know, his G1 form was just an ambulance. So on to Ratchet's story, and I will talk about another Transformer during this that is not in this game, and I think you guys will kind of find it interesting. And the reason I'll talk about this other guy is because Ratchet really doesn't have too exciting of a story. He mostly repairs a lot of Autobots, and if you're an Autobot, you most likely have been damaged in battle, and you can thank Ratchet for your repairs. Even big name guys have been saved by Ratchet's hands, including Optimus Prime. So Ratchet was on the cruiser to Earth, and we learned about this in so many different episodes so far, that they crashed down on Earth and then were reawakened, and Ratchet was part of the crew. So he spent most of his time repairing Autobots coming back from battle and stuff like that. Now, he also had kind of a partner when it came to repairing people, and his name was Wheeljack. And not only was Wheeljack gifted in repairing people, he was also a gifted inventor, and Wheeljack and Ratchet actually invented a bunch of specific Autobots that I will get to eventually. But they are Autobots that I know we all love, and we can thank Ratchet and Wheeljack for them. I will get to them in a second. But first, I want to talk a little bit about Wheeljack. Wheeljack is kind of like that mad scientist that is always trying to invent crazy things, and then his creations just kind of blow up in his face and they don't work. But he is always trying to help the Autobots out, and his intentions are very good. And for every successful invention he makes, there's always one that will blow him up, and it requires Ratchet to put him back together. But like all great inventors, you will have your failures, and every once in a while you have that one great invention, and Wheeljack, he had that with Ratchet, and I consider that to be the Dinobots! And without the Dinobots, we would have no Grimlock, and me Grimlock King. Me Grimlock eat Decepticons. And even the Decepticons have respect for Wheeljack for how often he makes good inventions. So besides Wheeljack being a great inventor, he is also very good on the road, as he's known to pull off a few stunts with his driving skills. Alright, back onto Ratchet.
And flank the Decepticons in the northern sector.
You have my thanks, old friend. Good hunting.
Now, not only does Ratchet repair a lot of the Autobots, he also fixes them when they get infected with something, or if they get somehow turned to the Decepticon side. He always figures out a way to switch them back into an Autobot. So Ratchet, he is one of the most important Autobots out there, even though he's kind of on the back end. You know, he's kind of like that offensive lineman in football. You never hear of his name, but he is one of the most important ones out there. And actually, now that I think about it, this might be one of my last chances to talk about the Dinobots before Fall of Cybertron comes out. So I'm going to talk just briefly about each Dinobot. I think that'll be rather interesting, since Ratchet's story is all about a lot of healing and repairing anyways. For the Dinobots, I'm going to try to keep it G1, but there are some interesting facts in a couple different universes that I may touch on a little bit. But either way, the members are Slag, Sludge, Snarl, Swoop, and the one guy without the letter S, Grimlock. And Grimlock, if you guys didn't know, is my favorite Transformer of all time. And I just think he's very cool. Who doesn't love Grimlock? I just put it at that. Who doesn't love Grimlock?
That guy should have stayed home.
And in one universe, there is another member, for those of you guys that didn't know, and his name is Paddles. And I always get a kick out of that when I hear that. Paddles, that's funny. But anyways, Paddles is a simple, gentle beast. He is not as hostile as the rest of the Dinobots, but he is willing to fight, and he is a friend of both the humans and the Autobots. And he doesn't walk on land too graciously, but he is good in the water, and he kind of reminds me a little bit of the Loch Ness Monster. Alright, I'm going to talk about each of the Dinobots because this is going to be pretty sweet, I think. I'm not going to go into the storyline, but you guys will see. Let's kick it off because I want to have some time left over for Ratchet. Alright, Slag. He is the Dinobot that is most likely to live up to his team's bad reputation. He is snarly, mean, nasty, and he is disturbingly violent. And no one really knows if he just loves the lust for violence or anything, but sometimes people wonder if he is supposed to be a Decepticon. He will fight anything or anyone at the drop of a microchip, they say, and he is known to fight dirty. And if it were up to him, he would reduce all his enemies to a pile of molten metal with his fire-breathing ability. Slag particularly doesn't like anyone. He will mouth off to his leader Grimlock, and he just doesn't like Optimus Prime. And I don't know how they have kept him in the Autobots, but I guess he's a good warrior to have around if things go bad. And his motto on life and everything else is, "Me Slag, no like anything." So that is rather fitting for Slag. Next up we have Sludge. And Sludge is a genius. No, I'm kidding. Sludge is the dumbest of all four Dinobots, and all the other Dinobots know this. The other Dinobots look like Einstein compared to this guy. But even though Sludge isn't the brightest, he definitely can do some damage on the battlefield, and pretty much all the Dinobots can. And I found it interesting when I was researching the Dinobots. A little fact that I didn't know before was they all really do not like Optimus Prime. And Sludge, he's no different. He doesn't like Optimus. He believes the strongest should lead, so he believes that Grimlock should be the true leader. But he also believes in the Autobots' cause, so he's okay with it. Next up, we have Snarl. He's generally unhappy and is considered a loner. He doesn't talk to the other Dinobots as much, and he is really only happy when he is in battle. And I found it interesting that Snarl does not like Earth at all. He wants desperately to return to Cybertron. Next up, we have the lovable Swoop. He is by far the friendliest of all the Dinobots, and he's that crazy pterodactyl that's always flying in and out. He's very upbeat and kind to everybody. But even with Swoop being extremely nice, he tends to be arrogant, disobedient, and he doesn't agree with Optimus either. And he is quite a bit of a show-off. And in the air, he is no one to be messed with, as he is very skilled flyer and often is a great weapon. Next up, we have my personal favorite, Mr. Grimlock, the true king. And I'm going to quote Grimlock himself here. "Me, Grimlock, badass." And that is a quote from Grimlock from The War Within #5. So if any of you guys want to look that up, I thought that quote was rather fitting. And most of Autobots wonder why Grimlock is on their side. He is way more suited to be a Decepticon. He has lots of strength and power, and he clearly values it over his wisdom and compassion. And along with that, he doesn't even get along with most of the Autobots. But if there's a problem, you can bet that he will face it with his Energo sword. But if his sword isn't handy or he chooses not to use it, that's not a problem. He'll just rip it with his bare hands or eat it up like it was breakfast. And even though Grimlock loves to flex his muscle, he hates those who abuse their strength. So he is always up for a challenge and always comes down on the right side of the bed, despite his disagreements with other Autobots. He is a good Autobot in my opinion. And even though he doesn't like Optimus Prime, he holds a lot of respect for Optimus Prime's strength and his leadership. So Grimlock, he is extremely strong and durable, and he is one of the only few Transformers who can stand toe-to-toe with Optimus and Megatron. And one thing we all know about Grimlock, his main struggle is with pronouns. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Ratchet and Wheeljack for creating the lovable characters known as the Dinobots that we all hold in our hearts dearly to this day. And for the rest of the episode, I don't have too much time, so I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more about Ratchet. Ratchet, besides being the repairer and the guy that helped build the Dinobots, also had some different roles during his Autobots G1 era. He also helped out disguising Autobots to camouflage them as Decepticons and wrecked Megatron's plans a couple different times. But in the end, he was that guy that you could always rely on. Even to the death, he would fight to his last breath. And in the G1 movie, he was on a mission to Autobot City in order to gather some Energon from Earth, and his allies and him, which included Ironhide, were attacked by Megatron. And I'm not going to say what happened to Ironhide, but Ratchet was shot dead in this shuttle. So he died in the Transformers G1 movie.
According to the schematics, the broadcast control room will be at the top of the lift.
Perfect! Then we can get back to the fight outside, right?
That's affirmative, Bumblebee.
Optimus, be advised. Starscream is headed your way. We tried to stop them, but Silverbolt and I sustained heavy damage.
Get clear, Jetfire. You've done more than enough already. Autobots, exercise caution. Starscream is as dangerous as he is treacherous.
Just give me a clear shot.
However, this was not the end of Ratchet. Ratchet's body was recovered, and it gave a spot in the household in the Interstellar Autobot Mausoleum. And the Autobot Mausoleum, it's just a final resting place for a lot of the fallen Autobot heroes.
Trying to restore your precious grid, Autobots? How pathetic.
You have committed crimes against Iacon, Starscream.
You're no match for the
It's
speed
time
and
to
power
pay
of
for them.
Starscream!
Autobots, stay close.
But Ratchet did not rest here well. His remains were later plunged into the sun because of a Quintesson plot in Dark Awakening.
Lucky shot! Now you've made me angry!
Get used
You're
to
no match for the
disappointment,
speed and
Starscream.
power of Starscream!
So that is the last we hear of Ratchet, the faithful Autobot medic and true warrior of the Autobots. A not much talked about character, but a very important one nonetheless. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to leave a comment, leave a rating, and subscribe for more Transformers. Next time we will have, I believe, Bumblebee or Ironhide. I will have to check. So I hope you guys are enjoying this series thus far, and I will see you next time. Have a good day, everyone.
You'll see me again, Autobots! That's a promise!
Run, you yellow-plated coward!
Good work, Autobots. Now, let's coordinate the city's defenses.
To anyone receiving this broadcast, this is Zeta Prime. I am being held captive in Megatron's Kaon prison complex.
Prime is alive? Ratchet, home in on that signal and boost it. On it!
I am downloading vital information that could help the Autobots win the war. Hurry, Autobots. I don't know how much longer I have.
Optimus, let's go! We have to save Zeta Prime!
That wasn't Zeta Prime, Optimus. It couldn't be.
The message carried his unique data signature, Ratchet.
Perhaps, but we both saw the wreckage of what Megatron did to him. No one could survive that.
Even if there is the smallest possibility that Zeta is alive, we must act.
Optimus, it's a trap. Surely you see that.
A chance we'll have to take. Hang on, Zeta, my friend. I have a plan.